A long, long time ago, in a land of dust and fear, there lived a young man named Gideon. Gideon was just a quiet farmer's son, getting by in troubled times. You see, Israel had fallen under the heavy hand of the Midianites, desert raiders who came like swarms of locusts, stealing food, burning fields, and leaving nothing behind. So, Gideon hid. One day, he was secretly beating out wheat in a winepress just to hide a bit of grain from the enemy. Suddenly, a stranger appeared beneath the oak tree nearby, watching him. With a voice full of strength and calm, the man said, "Yahweh is with you, mighty man of valor." Gideon looked around, confused. "Who? Me?" "Sir," he said slowly, "if God is with us, then why has all this happened?" But the stranger, an angel, though Gideon didn't know it yet, didn't argue. He simply said, "Go in the strength you have. I will be with you." Still unsure, Gideon whispered, "Give me a sign." And so began the journey of a scared young man, learning that even trembling hands can carry great courage. That night, Gideon took his first test of bravery. Before he could lead anyone, God asked him to clean up his own backyard. His father had built an altar to Baal and an Asherah pole beside it, false gods of wood and stone. "Tear them down," God said. So Gideon, being scared, waited until dark. Quietly, with 10 servants, he crept into his father's field and pulled down the altar. They built a new one for Yahweh instead. The next morning, the town exploded in rage. "Who did this?" they shouted. "Bring him out! Let him die!" But Gideon's father stepped in. "If Baal is a god," he said calmly, "let Baal defend himself." From that day on, they called Gideon Jerub-Baal, meaning, "Let Baal fight his own battles." And just like that, a seed of courage was planted. Soon a storm of enemies gathered, Midianites, Amalekites, and men from the east. Their tents filled the valley like waves of sand. Gideon, now chosen by God, blew the trumpet. Warriors came, 32,000 strong. But God whispered again, "Too many. Too many? If they win with this many," God said, "they'll think it was their strength." Gideon watched as God trimmed the army, first down to 10,000, then to just 300. 300 farmers and shepherds against a sea of enemies. No swords, no chariots, just jars, torches, and trumpets. This was God's battle to win. That night, Gideon crept down to the enemy camp. He overheard a man telling his friend about a strange dream of a loaf of bread tumbling down a hill and flattening their tent. His friend replied, "That's the sword of Gideon. God will give us into his hand." Gideon's eyes widened. He returned to camp, filled with new courage. Dividing his tiny army into 3 groups, he handed each man a trumpet, a torch inside a jar, and a plan. "On my signal, break the jars, blow the trumpets, and shout, 'The sword of Yahweh and of Gideon.'" In the dead of night, they surrounded the camp. Crash went the jars, blast went the trumpets, echoed their cry through the valley. The enemy panicked, confused. They turned on each other and fled, and not a single Israelite sword had been drawn. After the victory, the people were amazed. "Rule over us," they begged Gideon. "Be our king," Gideon said. "No, I will not rule. Yahweh will rule over you." But Gideon, like many men, was not without weakness. He asked for gold from the plunder, enough to craft a beautiful ephod, a religious garment. It glittered like glory. But it became a trap. The people began to worship it. Gideon didn't stop them. He didn't wear a crown, but he lived like a king. He had many wives. He even named one son Abimelech, meaning, "My father is king." Gideon forgot what the angel told him long ago. Yahweh is with you. Not gold, not titles, not crowds. 40 years the land was quiet, and then Gideon died in peace. But after he passed, the people forgot him. And worse, they forgot God. Many years passed. Kingdoms rose and fell. Names faded from memory, but not Gideon's. Because in the halls of heaven, where God remembers the faithful, Gideon's name was spoken again. In the sacred scroll of Hebrews, where giants of faith are honored, it is written, "And what more shall I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon. Yes, Gideon, the boy who hid in a winepress. Gideon, the one who doubted, who asked for signs, who was afraid in the night. Gideon, whom God still called mighty. Because faith is not about never trembling. It's about rising when God calls your name, even if your knees shake. And though Gideon's story had flaws, God remembered his faith, not his failure. So, when you feel small, unworthy, unsure, remember this. God does not look for the strongest. He looks for those willing to believe. Will you believe?